Hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, so I'm going to continue on painting today. So we just, let's see this side. I always get confused what side. That side. We just finished that floral, looking at some of those color flowing techniques in, those lost edges like I did on the moose over there. And now I'm going to look at losing some of those edges, try it up onto a seascape. It is going to take me a while to change the way I paint seascapes because I do like the way I paint them, but it's going to take me a while to change some and try some new things. But we're going to give it a go, okay? Now, I've painted a lot of seascapes, so here's a board here. This is 22 inches here by 13 inches. So, and I've done a lot of seascapes, so I'm just going to create one with some of my favorite elements. I make I divide elements into like sand dunes and waves and breaking, crashing waves and peninsulas and stuff like that. So, and I add them, I look to those elements and I add them and I create them. So I'm just going to create one here just to work on my color flow, and try to do something a little different. So anyway, I gave it a couple coats of the canvas prep medium, which you've seen me do before, and then sand lightly with 180 grit sandpaper. So I have a nice tooth to the painting, so it's going to grab it. So let's just draw some stuff here. And this is the palette right from a floral. As a matter of fact, some of my colors are still wet here. But so I want to, I'm just going to take a light blue. Sometimes I use the burnt sienna. It's one of my favorites to do this kind of sketching with, but it might be a blue, maybe a gray. We'll add a little bit of burnt sienna to it, little extender. And I'm just going to sketch on kind of an idea. So what I really want is, I'm going to come, this is my favorite little board that has the little stand-up sticks here. So I want to come about a third of the way down. So it gives me a little bit of sky. I want to come maybe about a third of the way, right about in there. And I want to, so right about here, evenly here, this is going to be my horizon line. So I'll do my horizon line. And I kick this off to the edge because I want to maybe make a little peninsula back there into the back. Have one a little higher, so it's going to come up a little higher right here. And I want to basically bring the triangle down this way. So that's what I'm looking for. But I want to develop it into a couple of different things. So maybe a lower little angle of the rocks right in here that might then just take up. So we get some overlapping planes, which always adds a lot of interest and stuff when you're talking about seascapes. So we'll have like the top and maybe everything breaking down there. So the ocean, the beach, we'll put the beach here coming back maybe at an angle like this, right in here. This will be the beach. And I'm doing that so I have some room here to work this, because one of the things I do love, and let's just add a bit more burnt sienna to this. One of the things I do love is to put in a big cut bank. So this cut bank, I'm going to come up almost halfway here and maybe drop that down right about in here. So what I want to do is paint the shadow side of this bank, and then, this will continue on here, and maybe some bushes and stuff here that will continue on and make the edge of the beach. Can you decipher that? Okay, all right. So that this gives me some ideas here. Now, so one of the things, I love to start the sky. I always start the sky. I'm going to come in here with my 3/4 inch brush, and I'm going to put in some of the things I know. I'm going to take some burnt sienna and some yellow. These are some of the stuff I like to, if I'm going to do bushes and stuff along that cut bank, maybe a little bit of violet over here as well. I like this all to model up here. And so I just take it right on my brush and it's all modeled up here. And I'll push this in here. Let's just grab some of this. This is going to be where that cut back. Now that color is a little too mixed for me, so I want to drag some more yellows down into it this will be, you know, the base for some of the bushes and stuff like that. And I know it kind of looks like I've lost my mind, but I love doing this. Let's get some of this dark. Let's even get a little green, a little bit of my red violet, maybe even a touch of blue. These will be some of my darkest colors in the composition right out here that I want, and I want them here so that I'll pull you into the painting here. So, and we'll put a few marks of these. Now, sometimes I just put these in with my knife, and I love painting my knife. You know, I watch a lot of knife painters, and I've learned a lot over the years from knife painters. And, you know, just putting in this color movement like this is just fantastic. And, you know, since I have some of this, I'll take some of this medium white, some of this color, just drop this right into here. We'll add a little bit of violet, which cools it. This is what we make, you know, some of you that haven't watched the Seascape I did with the sand dunes, painting in through the dunes, looking up through there. You know, painting your cools are very important into the sand and getting those into place. So I'll take a little blue, a little burnt sienna, some violets here. I don't want to mix these up too well, but we'll pull down here. And what I'm doing while this is wet is just setting up. And I know it looks rough. Okay, I know that. It's okay. You know, trust me, I am a professional. Okay, it's gonna be okay. You know, right now a lot of my students that paint with me, they always have a heart attack right about now. And so I'm going to take a little bit of my medium white. Now, these colors that I have here, if you didn't watch the floral, which you should have, okay, if you didn't watch the floral, everything that I do is always into the video description. So all the colors that I use and everything are into the video description. So all I'm doing right now is laying in, blocking in some colors, and I'm going to let this come to the warmer light here a little bit here, and we're going to be really impressionistic today. Okay, are you ready? We can do this, right? So we'll put that cut bank in there, and that's just an idea, right? It's just an idea of getting the color movement. It's nowhere near what it's going to be. So don't worry about that. We'll refine it, but it gives me an idea for color, which is what I want. And let's just lift this burnt sienna off here. Okay, that's kind of prettiest, kind of grayish color there. And I want some of that color in there as well. So I'm adding it in, and see, I'm using different marks of the knife, and I'll use the brush, and I'll use the knife, and I'll pull down through and create the slopey, grassy edge and stuff like that through that. And I like that kind of look. Let's just take a dollop of yellow here. Throw that in. There we go. Get some of those yellows. Some of these really cool. I'm probably going to need to put out a little more burnt sienna. Some of these really neat darks up underneath this edge before it gets down into the sand. So we'll do that. A little bit in here. All right. Now let's get over into the fun. Now, as I get into the back, as much as I love to paint with that knife, I like to do it with the brush, just so it's going to stay softer. So we're going to go just a little bit violet here. So blue, a little violet. And I want this softer and grayer. And since I have medium white on the palette here, let's just add some medium white. The medium white's going to help it gray because, you know, the violet, of course, and the medium white has that yellow in it, which is its complement. So it's going to help it gray. I have a lot of violet in there. I'm going to just give that a quick rinse. Let's just take some of this blue right up against that edge. And this is a big 1-inch brush, so it's easy. The wider the brush, the easier it is to pull a line. So we'll push that color in. Let's let it come out a little bit bluer. So I'll add some phthalo and I'll add a bit of white instead of that medium white which will, and what I want to do as I start to lay this in, what I'm looking for is changing of tone. And you can, you know, you can do fun things. I mean, what I do sometimes is just change through a painting like this and just add some of these other tones like that, which, you know, gets that movement going. That was not the right thing to do there, but that's okay. Now let's go up into the sky, and we'll let some of this light violet come into the sky. We want to, I'm going to bring light in from the left up over our side here, so the shadow is casting down through here, so it's going to come right down through here. So we're going to make a real light up around, and you have your value scales, right? If you have your value scales, you can go over and download it for our website. So I want an 8 or a 9. If I make it a 9, it'll dry down to an 8, which is about what I like. So nice and light here. And let's just push that right, nice thick line of it there, right up here. And I'll use some thicker paint here. Yeah, that's pretty good. And we'll come right across, and I'll go right into the hills just a bit, especially back through here. Go into the hills. So I get some of that violet, and I like that violet to show up into the water as well, because water reflects the sky. It always does. And so now that's a perfect line there, a perfect slightly angled line. And I don't want it absolutely perfect. So, you know, what I do sometimes, you see me, is I'll take my brush, or even I'll use the large brush, but I'll pull down and across it slightly and then re-emphasize the line, and that softens that edge. And you want that atmosphere to head back there, which shoves it further back. So, and we want this blue, so we'll pick this up a little bit more blue, maybe a bit of extender in this, just a touch of violet. We want this a little bit more blue up here, and I'm going to work these two skies together here. I love painting really casual like this, setting it up, because I know my colors, and I'm not afraid of these acrylics at all. There's a lot of people that are afraid that acrylics dry. I don't. I know how water is its solvent. I try to teach you guys that, and to relax when painting. So I can add just a tiny bit of water like this and it's solvent, and I can work right through that, and I can start to get that beautiful atmosphere to the sky, you know. And I don't have any kind of fear. Let's just add a little extender. This will keep it really wet, but let's just drop a bit of that down through here so we can paint our hills and stuff into the sky. But I don't have any kind of fear of that, because I know the acrylics really, really well. And so I've been painting with them for years and then developing them, you know, working as a chemist with them. And so I have no fear of them. So I'll put a little bit of that in, just a little extender. But water is your solvent. So if anything starts to dry, especially if you're using the Heritage. Now, other acrylics, and this is the thing I try to tell you all the time, acrylics are different. There's no two acrylic paint companies that are the same. We don't make them the same. And so some will dry hard and fast, and you can't do that. This one is made to dry in about 15, 20 minutes, but you can extend that with extenders, but then it'll stay solvent to water for several hours, so you can use water back into it to make any kinds of sky or clouds or anything. Let's just take some of this sky color. We'll model it with a little bit of our medium white and some of our white here, and we'll just add like a little cloud or something here, right up in through here. And I'll just take my knife, flatten it out, and pull through it. So take your knife, flatten it out here, just flatten it out and pull through it here. And if I want to blur it out, take my brush that I used a little bit of blue, take some of that out, and then just pull through here, and you'll make a nice wispy little cloud set right there. That'll look pretty neat. Let's pull down slightly that will break that edge just a bit more. There we go. And let's put a touch of those clouds maybe right up here. Flatten the knife and pull through. This is a really easy, quick way to make some clouds in a painting. Boom, and we'll just, I pull angle down sometime to make them look like they're windswept. There, just like that, okay? Now, let's come in and let's take some of our violets here right into our burnt siennas and some of these back colors here, but mostly this violet. And let's set up a disappearing plane back here for this little peninsula here, disappearing back. Pull down, okay? This is going to be our back one. We can do that with the knife as well, which gives you a lot more interest because it'll put lights and darks and highs and lows, and people will start to see it, start to see the movement in it. But I want to keep, we're going to practice this, I want to keep some of these edges really soft and blurry. See if I can, but working that background. So I've worked this background in here. Let's put just a touch of an edge back out here and maybe a little light color through it. Just pull through, and I like to leave little things that you like go, what is that? That's what I like to leave in a painting. Now see, if you can't take your knife and do this, then you don't have enough paint on the surface. Does that make sense? So acrylic painters tend to be too thin with your colors. And so when you drag the knife over, you peel up and you take it all the way to its background. And if that happens to you, you're painting too thin. You're not painting with enough paint. Get more paint on it. And paint, the amount of paint you use on the surface also slows down the drying time of the paint. So if you feel like you just don't have enough painting time before it starts to fade away, or before it starts to dry, excuse me, then you need to use more paint. That's the whole trick. All right, so there's a back one. Let's and see if you take your knife like this, and if we pull back, then we can create that shadow and light effect. But in actuality, the shadow would be coming this way. So we'll make just a little bit of that right there. We'll pull a bit of our light violet right here, right in there. And that's what's going to give us the atmosphere to our back little edges back there, okay? Now as we come forward, we'll pick up a little bit more of this gray and brown here. And let's just create another little bit of land and cliff edge or something right there, okay? And sometimes I'll use my flat because my knife can't get into that detail there because I use a pretty good sized knife. So I'll use a flat here to set up some of this a bit here. There we go. And what I'm looking for, and I soften anything out with that sky, that violet sky. So that's what I put back into my brush. Maybe a little bit of that. Let's get my knife here and add a little rocky coastline right there. Some rocks. Tap it right along the edge of your water there. And you can add some rocks and stuff. The idea of some rocks pulling down. There we go. A little bit of violet, light colors. And see, I'll just push down, push the knife down. That starts almost a blending of the colors, see? But that keeps everything there a little soft, maybe a little bit more of an interest right out here. You know, just a bit of it there, okay? That's pretty good. And let's grab some more, maybe a little bit of green and yellow this time as I start to pick up and come up here towards more of the front. Get this up here, more of a front of the mountain or so, hill here is coming towards us a bit. Touch of light that I can pull some light sides back the other way. So I get light and dark. That's what I'm looking for. Light and dark. Dark pulling this way, just same as our dunes. There, that cut bank in the dunes. And so dark pulling down to down here this way. And leave some jagged little edges there. That makes it like it could be little trees or something pulling up. So lift your knife up, and so your edge is not a perfect edge. Lift your knife up and get some jagged stuff going on. Some broken lines, some broken edges here. Wipe your knife really clean so it's nice and clean. Pull from the sky down into it a bit to blur the edge. So wipe your knife really clean, pull from the sky down into it to blur and send that a little bit further back, if that makes sense. Okay, let's grab a little more yellow, some of this burnt sienna, a little bit of light. Okay, we'll get just a bit more color into this as we come forward here now. There we go. Let's take some of this color and add it back, maybe a strike of it adding back up this way, here. Yeah, and so I can do more refinement, which I will. I'm going to do even more. But a little bit of the burnt sienna and some of the blue, I can come in here and use, I like to use the flat of my brush, this small flat, or this is a number 8 flat, and just put in some edges and stuff like that there. And a little bit of blue and green or yellow to make some greens. A little bit of greens there. There we go. Now you can make them more specific, like, you know, if you want to make like little cliffs and stuff like that, you can pull up and down to give some nice verticals here, which will make it look more like some cliff edges or rock edges and stuff like that there, you know. So you can do that as well. Let's take a bit of our blue, slightly darker blue, and paint right up into those rocks. Right up, take that edge, soften that edge out right up into the rocks there. Drag some of that down. Okay. And I gray that up a bit and use some of it sometimes in my hills here. Causes them to recede a bit. There we go. Maybe a little bit of color. Not quite as dark, but a bit of that right up in there. See? And what's going to do it, what I want to do is, so this color here, see, sets the position of everything that I'm doing here and going back. Now, let's follow the edge of that, or some of the idea of that mousse that we were going to do, and let's blur the edge. Okay, so we'll take that back and we'll do some very specific marks here to blur back, soften back even more some of these marks. We'll leave it up towards the front, just like see on him, but I might go back and forth just a touch, but it really changes that edge of that scape there. That works pretty nice. Let's get some big color here, big softer color here. Get some big color in here. Put the color on so I can start to really see the seascape here. And let's get a little burnt sienna, a little bit of green. I love painting it dirty. There's a lot of artists that like to stay very clean with their painting. I don't. I like color. You know, the heritage colors are very pure. They're pure pigments. They're the same pigments you find in oils. Okay, and so I like colors to travel across each other, and you know, I like that to happen, and I like the mixing of colors and stuff, and you know, the color flow together. So here I'll just add some of this green in and around here, and of course I'm going to make some sand and some other colors here, but you know, I like that. I like the colors to contact each other, to do like what I said in the floral. You know, I watched Oppenheim. I watched Sandin and his 50-year retrospect, which was amazing video up on YouTube. It's amazing video. It shows his life and his history, and you know, just such a knowledgeable painter, artist. But and I just love his work. But the little green, a little bit dark. Now that's a little dark compared to here, so I need to lighten that up. Let's gray that up. Just pull right through that. There. Keep some of the interest. But you know, talking about Oppenheim and how that, you know, how his techniques of color flow, one color flowing into the next color, changed his whole visualization of, you know, how a portrait painter should paint. And it does. And that's the beautiful thing in it. And you can really see how it changed him over the years. And that's kind of where I'm trying to go with my art now today, is do more of the color flow. This is what I mean by color flow. One area of color flows into the next area of color. And that's what gives you a lot of contrast. So this side is the shadow side. This side would be the shadow side. So I pick up a little shadow and I'll pull some shadows and I pull some lights back and forth and set some of those looks. Now I can come in here and set some further darks, which I will. So I'll do all this as I start to get some more of my beach in here. And I'll be watching, let's get a little more burnt sienna. I'll be watching my colors up front here for how much I can add. But I want to do a little tapping, a little movement here, which adds some of that interest and stuff. Here. There we go. Yeah. Can't wait to get into that water, get some of that going here again. Let's get some of this beach flowing back up over the other side here. So I'm going to start out with some yellow, or excuse me, the medium white. And I want this medium white. That's one good reason to have it on here as a nice base for some of the warm sand here. And it comes through here, some of these areas of this beach. And I can use the knife too. I love the knife, you know, the casual nature of the knife, using it to kind of draw and tap and push. And, you know, I'll reset just by watching the edge of your knife. That's the drawing edge of your knife. So I'm watching it as I draw here. So I'll pick up some nice heavy white, medium white, and we'll push this beach in, maybe a little bit around the corner there, right? But you see how I get that little spark right there? I'll leave that. I try to leave that. I'm not quite there where I can leave it all the time, but I try to leave that. And that just adds so much. So let's add some of this here. Pull some of this beach in here. And get some of this. I'll leave this as an edge. And this will become the beach. And some of this will become a grassy edge here. all the way along, and the beach will, it's like you drop down into the beach here. So we'll leave that edge there. I think I think this will work. We'll pull some of this across. We're going to do a lot of colors here into the... Now, see, this is dry, right? And I want to not blend it, but I want to incorporate, let those colors flow in together. So I'm going to take a damp brush here, a damp brush, and work them together. And then you can push, and you'll see the blue and the beach color here start to push together. See that? That's what we want, and that's going to help us with giving us the transparent look of the water. All right? And I might need some more medium white. It's a beautiful base as a sand color. Beautiful base. And let's just put this down kind of heavy here. You see me paint so many different ways the seascapes because I'm always playing with them and trying them different ways. But you see me use big brushes for some of this stuff, and like I love my big 2-inch brush to just get color on, you know, just get some color on. And I love this when these streaks happen. And yeah, there we go. And so this is what I consider blocking in. I'm blocking in to make the areas, but I want the colors to flow into each other. Does that make sense? The colors have to flow into each other. So I want this to flow, those edges, not to be harsh. I want them to flow into each other. That's what's going to give you the sense of the edge of this beach. So you can leave every once in a while a harsh edge. That won't hurt it too much. But I want these colors to overlap and flow into each other a bit as I set up the beach. Okay, let's keep going here. I'll rinse that white out, that medium white out for a second. Let's go with the white and the blue. Here, phthalo, a little bit of the violet. Here, we're going to get a little darker, a little bluer up here. And we're going to make some water right up here. Let's pull the viewer forward just a touch more with a little more violet and blue. And this will pull the viewer further forward. And that is not real harmonious, so I'll take a little bit of my beach color through it, just a bit, and put that beach color as like a common color. Start thinking of it as a common color into the painting here. Okay, now I want to blur out, but that light violet that we have up into the sky, that's a beautiful color that happens up and along the sand, wet sand color. So some of that violet color makes beautiful wet sand. So right from this color here, and it carries this color down into the painting here as well. And so that works really nice there. I'm going to rinse some of that violet out so I have just a bit of water and a damp brush here. And I'm going to incorporate this. Let the colors flow in and out of each other just a bit here, which gives you that softness. Now you can blend all of this. Take your bigger brush and blend through. And I don't want to blend. I want to soften the edge. I call this, I don't use the word blend very often, because to me blend is like you manipulate your colors until you create a third color. Like two colors come together, create a third color. What I like to do is to soften one color back into the other. I call it incorporating a color or modeling the colors together. So see here, I'll take this big soft brush just with some white and I'll pull down. And so the colors flow into each other, but I'm not making intermediate blended tones, if that makes sense. Okay, I want these colors to flow into each other, into the beach area. Does that make sense? Okay, so I wipe that, just a little bit of water. If I get too much of that white, because I'm picking it up in my brush, I'll just rinse it real quick and then grab it, and let's just flow those right in through that. Flow that again, softly, right into that. So I don't call it blending because I'm looking for the colors to flow into each other. So if I want the violet, say I want the violet and the blue to come out more, I'll pull from the water out. And if I want the beach to go out further, I'll pull from the beach into the water, just like that. Okay? All right, so that sets that up, but I could have some softer blues showing up back here, which will give some more distance back there. Okay? So I'll take my big brush and some soft sky and stuff and just push some of those colors in. That's too much. So I'll take some of that out. But there we go. And back to my... And it's a manipulation of it back and forth to see where you want to go with this. What do you want? Let's soften that edge. So I know in good perspective, if I want something to go further back, it's got to become more like the sky. And that sky right there sets the basis of my painting. So let's just model some of this sky color. And so if I come over this edge, that little bit of light, even though I like that spark, might be too much. A little bit might be too much. Little bits of color there. And that makes the little shapes. And what are the shapes? You know, there'll be little highs and lows, little interest areas, that kind of stuff. So you just give the impression, and the viewer goes, what is that? But it just looks like something further in the distance, if that makes sense. There we go. Just like that. So setting up some of those colors. Now let's set up some lighter, like yellows right up here that are hitting the sunshine part. So we'll go a little bit lighter, a little more yellow. Yellow, oxide, a little bit of white. We'll make some ideas of some of the light struck areas here of this little edge and that little edge there. And some burnt siennas. Here makes the shadow sides. There. The idea of those shadows. And, you know, this starts a lot of detail to it, and how much you put on, that's all up to you. That starts a lot of the detail. You know, I do like to add like ideas of little rocks and stuff going on. So I start this kind of stuff through there, just tapping through. And so it's blue and burnt sienna in the edge of the brush here. And I'll leave some of that, and, you know, just as, you know, the impression of it, you know, I leave the impression of it there. I like that. Maybe a bit drag right in there. There we go. But everything here is darker. Does that make sense? That's the most important part. Everything up here is darker so that your eye comes here, and this is just done as interest. Up here it's done to draw your eye forward. So, and you can always take some of those colors, some of those looks that you're developing there, and then restate some of that right up in here that will always keep your eye coming up to the front, if that makes sense. So I'll restate some of my darks here, there like that, and then that will keep it coming to the front. Okay, let's keep moving, keep moving. Let's put in a little bit more of a darker violet gray, burnt sienna, a little blue, a little violet, darker violet gray, little extender with this because I want to keep this wet a bit. Right up in here. Pull this right down into that shadow. So we'll start to develop this shadow a little bit more. Here. Right like that. Let's get some of the softer kind of blue, violet, and some of our beach color, but this will be cooler here. Let's tap some of this in here. This is my big 1-inch brush. I could use the knife as well. And it is kind of nice sometimes to pick up on that knife and just give some of this mottled, this real rough nature to it, which makes the highs and lows of the lights and darks of the sand, right? And then maybe a little bit more to the blue side as we come up out of that deeper, well, a little bit of violet in that little, as we come up out of that deeper shadow there, here, right up here like that. Now, you see that looks really, really rough and really hard, but see, I can take, this is what I like to take my thumb with a little bit of water and then push. And you can do this with a brush or a knife too, but that's what creates some of that interest right in there. See, and soft, and you leave those marks. That's what I love. I love to do like these marks, boom, like that, and then just incorporate them by letting, and see, I let the color flow from one edge into the other, and that works. It really does work. Let's push some of that right in there. I'll stick my thumb in a little bit of water, and we'll let that come out like that. Maybe put on just a light struck area. Maybe the light comes right in here, like I did on that last dune painting. Hits right in there, and you can pull that through. You get some highs and lows here, right in there. There we go, and that works really nice. A little bit of warmth, little yellows, some of your lights, some of the other colors of the sand right in here, coming forward. A little more medium white and white right down in here. A little bit of the yellow. Sometimes it hits that dirty blue, and that can come right in here like that. See, this is the impressionism that I really like. And I'll let some of that just stay really rough. You know, maybe it hits an edge there. Here we go. Because it'll be this side, like maybe that's the idea of this side. And the other side here is the shadow side, right? And you just have a bit of fun with it. There we go. Ooh, that's a little light. We just back that in there a bit. There, that's good. This line's a little bit straight. So let's take some burnt sienna, some yellow, some of this, maybe a touch of green. Push this bushes up a little higher here. Just give the idea of those bushes there. There we go. Something there. A little bit of dark in there. Right there. Maybe a little bit of our sand color Now right back up here. So a little bit of sand color, and those edges of those bushes will. And I need a fresh paper towel. Break that up. Just hold your knife flat and push it. And that, you know, and what you think about when you're doing this, guys, is the planes. So I have a vertical plane here, that's my bushes, and then I'll wipe my brush, and then I have the horizontal plane, which is I'm pulling through my sand right there, if that makes sense, right? Push just a bit more sand here. There. Yep. A little more light right up here. A little bit of yellow with that. It's too white. A little bit of yellow. Makes the highs and lows of the beach. And remember when we did the dunes, we kind of tapped some of the violets and stuff around too to make it look like footprints and other little highs and lows. And you can do that same thing in here. So it doesn't have to be absolutely smooth, but you can take your big brush at any time and smooth it out just a bit, you know, and you know, put a little bit of water in it and it'll smooth it out just a bit, right? Put a little bit of water in it. Doesn't take much. Here's my 3/4, my favorite painting of the brush, favorite painting brushes. You can give the lift off, give the idea of some of these bushes and stuff right in through there. Here. Get the bushes and stuff. A few little. See me do this kind of stuff with painting the prairie and the plains and my westerns. Do that. Maybe a few little marks right in here. Let that soften out. That's pretty good. Yeah, you could put in a couple more little light hits and stuff right in through here. I mean, you know, if you want to get, you know, a lot of interest, you can tap in little light hits where the sun's coming through, maybe hitting just a few areas right in there. So you remember, you pull back this way if you want that to be a bit more of a light hit because the sun's hitting this edge, right? Little bits. This is what I call the little sparks that adds some of the interest to, you know, the painting. Gets rid of like a whole area of dark and adds little sparks of light, you know, to it. And yeah, that's too much there, but I am a professional, right? I love to take my thumb, dirty thumb with a little bit of water and just push the edge. And sometimes I'll leave it rough, but sometimes I'll just incorporate it a little bit and create another little mark. But you got to remember, light's coming back from this way, so those lights are going to hit right in here. Maybe this shadow disappears over here, and this light pulls back this way, right? That's what we're doing. Right like that. So it hits that light right there. And you'll hit, you know, how much, I don't want to spend a bunch of time doing this kind of stuff, but, you know, if I was definitely doing a bigger painting, I definitely would put some more time and energy in it, maybe a bit more light right through there. Right in there. That would be good. Okay, so that's coming down. Light right in through here. That's going good. Let's put some additional light. Maybe sometimes I'll use, even this open medium is great. Just something to cause the colors to slide a little bit more as you're out here. See how it slides more? That open medium does it. You could use extender, that does it. And I want it to slide and blur, not blend, because the underside is dry anyway. This is just sliding. See it slide over the surface, and that gives me this undulation to it. So open medium is really good. So because these other colors that are right here are dry, so I can pull down like this, establish it, and then just slide it back and forth and get some undulation to that color, to my beach color here. And just like that, that's what I want. See, it's a different way of looking at it, see? A different way of putting some of that on. And that's what we try to do, right? And so my whole goal here is to try to get a little more incorporation of my colors. Look at it a little differently. I wanted to put some more into the sky up here, and I might do that. Here's a little paper towel, a little different. Okay, a little more beach. Take out a little bit too much there, so I'll put a little bit of violet into that and push right into that. Let the colors flow into each other, right? Let these edges not be perfect, and that's what gives you all this interest. Let's just pull right across. And if I want that super soft, I'll just pull there, pull down that beach a bit there, like that, and build that. Now we can come in and work some of the water. And I just love painting the water. I used to always worry about painting waves in the water and stuff. Not anymore. I'm going to take some extender right into some of my blues and re-moisten right in here, especially dark up into the front, and then let it go a little more of this violet color back here, right? Pull this wave line in. And I'll get choppy too. Now you can make all kinds of waves. I don't want to make a whole bunch of waves, but you can make all kinds of waves here. I do want to soften some of this. Pull back and forth a bit. It'll pull into that wet beach color, and I can pull that out, okay? That works, but I'm not going to make like big, huge, choppy waves. I'm going to take some of my open medium here, and I'm going to tap it with some of my white and medium white and a little bit of the blue here. So, and what I want to do first is, and I'm going to, you can see this, I'm just going to roll the edge of my knife down a little bit and create an undulation of a wave here. Right like that. Okay, I'm going to wipe my knife. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to pull it back, push it back and forth to give the movement to the wave. It's just going to be a little wave here, right like that, okay? So wipe your knife so it's clean. Move into it and pull it back. Move into it, pull it back. And push hard to bring up the blue. So as I'm going further back here, I want to bring up some of the blue, and I want to have just a little bit of it. Let's pick up a little more blue with that. So back here, we're picking up a bit more blue. Does that make sense? Just like that. I used to, and it's very serious, guys, I used to always worry about doing these waves. It's like, oh, now I'm going to screw it up. And now the waves are the most fun, especially when I start to use this open medium that causes everything to slide. And that's really what I want to do, is slide the color. So I'm going to come in here and just slide a little bit of that right in there. And I'll take some more beach color, maybe some of my violet, and push into this, right? And right along that edge, there's some violet that came out right there too. But I'll even just take open medium. Sometimes I'll add some extender, which really causes everything to slide, and push that back and forth till I get some, and that's going to give me some more manipulated white water and stuff like that there. But I'll wipe my knife, tap it just into some of the open medium so it slides, and go like this. Now, we have another medium that works as well for this, and it's called faux finish medium, and that works really well. What we're doing is take a tiny bit of the light on the edge of your knife, and you can use that, and so you can lift off too. If you get too much, you can lift off, but you can just drag little ideas of the waves here, like that. You can take some of your blue. If you get too much, put a tiny bit of the blue and just work it back and forth in there till you don't have that too much white, like that. And blur these together. Blur those together. Right in there. There we go. And, let this undulate. So, you can have a touch of the white out here. Because the beach, that sometimes some of the waves in some parts of the beach go up higher than others. It's not always just a straight line. So some parts go up higher than others, and you can blur in to create white water. You can, tap to create little bubbles with the light, and you can make the foam and all that stuff in there. But I don't need to do a ton of stuff with this one. Okay. Little softer. This one is a little softer than. And that's a little too much, so I just take my darks and I'll lift up to it. See? And you can give slight motion like it's cresting too. And I can just drag some of this further out. I don't want to create too many lines, perfect lines of waves out here, but you can just create a few other little lights out here. Something's starting up, right? Something's starting up. Just the suggestions of some of that. Maybe a little bit of light right here if you want to create a look that maybe this one is gonna curl, but we're not making stormy waves today. Like that. There we go. Right out in here might be a nice place to just push a little bit of it. An idea. That wave, it's right there. Now, let's take some of this. I like to, if these are rocks up there, I like to give a little bit of a splash. So a little bit of a higher wave up into the rocks, but just light right against the edges up there. And then you take your dark and you lift up into it. You can take your brown and pull down into it as well to soften some of that, and that brown can even go right down into the water. Now why? Because that'll make it look like rocks down in the water as well. Not just perfect. You can break the lines here. So some of this comes up, comes around. It's not exactly perfect. So you can see it's like an undulation of the rocks there. You can take some of the brown. So not always just blue, some of the brown that's out here, push that in, and then a little bit of blue here as well. And that colliding of that brown and blue makes it look like rocks out in the water as well, which is a good thing to do. A little bit more light, maybe a bit more of a wave right here. There, right in there. The thing is, try not to overpaint too much. I know that's hard because we want to get in there and make it. I have a blue mountain, so that's okay. I can take that out, a little bit of my mountain color, and we'll start to lift that back off. That's a big splashing wave there, Dave. Let's add a little burnt sienna and a little bit of blue here. Painted most of this with my knife, huh? Lift that back out. Got dirty finger here. I like some of that blue touches back up in there, though. I could really send this other part of it back, and I think I will do that. But I do like how the colors are incorporating through here. One of the goals that I wanted to do with it was to work that edge, a little bit more of that, those colors incorporating back through here. And boy, putting some of that lovely medium, let's get some yellow, or putting some of this lovely open medium into it really helps to get those sparks and colors in there. That really works nice. But let's go back, see if I can find it here, my brush here, and let's put just a bit of go back to my soft sky color here, and a little extender. So I've shown you guys this before and other things, you glazing on the atmospheric color, the sky color basically. And that's going to be just a little too heavy. So really, really thin over an area here. We'll really push it back. We'll let that set for just a second. And you can paint a little touch of color back into it. But that will start to send it back. So if you get your hills and stuff there too far forward, you can just send it back with some of your sky color. So anything that is close to the sky. So we'll set some of that back. And you can make a little bit of the blues and stuff here. Soften all of that out. Back through there. Push that. Raise so here to the point, but then raise the line just a bit as it goes back there. And see how it starts to shove it further back? So I'll leave, if I want, may leave this with a touch more dark on those rocks right there. Maybe there's a little rocky point here. And we get a bit of a shadow there. Right in like that. And then that point goes further back, and if I take just the tiniest little bit of light here and just drag that pushes that even further back, see? So, you're looking at your sky color. That's what you put over something here to push it back and recede it, right? And so I can start manipulating some of these other things that I know. Like if I want to bring back some of this little rocky edge here, or this edge, and divide up, some of my shadows here, create some additional little interest and stuff, I can do that here. But I like to leave the jaggedy edges and stuff because it might be trees, you don't know, but little points. And so you can start adding a little bit more interest back in there, right? And if you got too much right in there, too much splash, take some of it out with some of your darks here. Just take it out a bit. There you go. And you get a nice, gentle look to it. Let's do a soft gray and light here. Let's make this more of a nice sandy little dune coming down here. Right here. Right down into that beach there. right like that. That gives it a bit of difference. And let's put in just a real soft violet shadowy color here that will keep, you know, right in line with what we're doing here. That makes it kind of pretty, like that's maybe another dune back there, see? And we'll just drag over that here. Light goes back that way, so got another little dune. See, it breaks up some of that line. But you can come in here and put some bushes, some browns. You know, let's just take a little bit of some more of the browns and just add a bit of the burnt sienna yellow browns in there. You know, just breaks up some of those rocks. You can add some light highlights into a few areas here. Maybe back this other way. Maybe you get just a touch of light. But you know, that's a little too much. But like you can see, you can add and make a rocky coastline or anything that you want to do back there. I do like taking the brush, holding it flat like this, and putting like that. You get this broken line, which just adds so much interest, and then just blur back, and you get the highs and lows and all that interest of light and shadow, which is great. So you can put, you know, like maybe there's we have it up front here, so it'd be nice maybe here to have another little idea of a cut bank back here. That's cutting through that beach a bit, see? You know, does it work? We'll see if it works. Putting in maybe just a bit of that back here, maybe a touch lighter. That's just a touch dark. There we go. Just a little bit. You can make a couple people walking on the beach. Just have some fun with it. You know, some artists will put the shadow of the rolling of the waves and stuff in there. I don't. I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave that just kind of soft. I'm going to put just a little bit of this shadow coming forward here, just so it travels across the front of that. Maybe a bit more light and a medium white right in here. And I'll leave that because that'll dry down and you'll get just a, you know, you want a bit of the undulation through here. And so I'll leave that, and that will dry down softer. It looks harsh right now, but it'll dry down softer. It will. So, yeah, and, you know, do you want to have some more waves? You just take a light blue, just a light blue, okay, and just drag that light blue through here just to break up some of the waves. But I like that, this very simplistic bit of it there. Maybe a bit more into the hills here, in that my hills look, if I look at it, you know, one of the things I struggle with, and I still struggle today with it, is I'm a left brain. I'm very much left brain, which means that I tend to paint like that straight line. So, you know, and I don't want to, but I always end up doing that. So I might take a little bit of blue, a little bit of violet here. It needs to be just a little cleaner here. And we'll paint back this edge so it's not a perfect line. Does that make sense? And those are some of the stuff I always look at towards the end of the painting, because I'm a left brain. I'll line up 3 perfect little rocks, or I'll make it a perfect little wedge shape, and I don't want to. And so here I'll make some undulation into the hills by painting back out with this light sky right here, and I'll take that out. right up here. Maybe that's just some nice clouds right up against the edge there. And blur down into that a bit. That just softens it out. But I'll leave, incorporate those colors. Look at blurring in some of that. That's the goal of what we were doing today, right? Supposedly. So we'll do that. Let's get a little bit lighter. Come right up against this edge. Maybe bring this peak back up and then back down again. So it's not just a perfect wedge shape, even though there are a lot. I lived by the coastline for 25 years. That was a perfect wedge shape, but we don't always want to have that. Let me take a little bit of this very thin, just get some of this extender, take it out of my brush, very thin, and just wipe over that edge. And that'll push it right on back. There, like that. There we go. Yeah, very different kind of a scape here. And I think I'll level that beach off right there just a bit. In other words, flatten it just a touch right there. There. And a little bit of blue. There we go. Yeah, just like that. Now we'll put a bit of the rocky waves right there. There we go, just like that. That's kind of pretty, kind of different, and let's cut that edge a bit. Can even make this a little higher up here, almost like it's another little range right back behind it. But see that bit of that blue, that color flowing into each other. That's what gives you that wonderful interest right there. So, and that's what we want to be able to do, right? Flow these colors into each other. And so it makes your edges and stuff even softer yet. And it's really giving a lot of interest to it. It's going to take a bit of practice for me because I'm not used to doing it this way, but I think it's going to, look at that, how that softened and gave so much more interest. So I'm not used to doing it this way, but I think it's going to be something that's going to be pretty fantastic. I develop it a little bit more. And I think we'll do that. We'll work on that a bit. It'd be nice to do. I have a really Boca Beach, big one drawn up right over here. It's almost 4 feet across. And I might use this on this. I might refine this a little bit because I like what's happening down in through here. And a little bit down in here. It's a little bit too straight right here. And what I mean is when sometimes I do this and I don't have something to look at, my habits come out and, it's a little too straight. Like maybe this little guy needs to come back. This beach needs to bend back this way. And I don't pick up sometimes I don't pick up that stuff right away. Does that make sense? I don't pick it up and I'll see it like tomorrow morning after I put it away for a little bit and I'll go, oh, darn it. But that's all right. We all do that. But maybe this could come back a little bit more and a little color like that right around there. Just like that, break that up. A little bit of this color right in there. See that? There we go. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, it's a great painting, great practice, all right? And I'm going to develop this a little bit more. We'll give it a try, Add some of that open medium there and slide those colors in there. Try to put it over. Then you can use your thumb, and if you're not using Heritage, go test which other colors. And if you're not sure, never use it. Just get a stiff brush with some water in it and use that and push those colors around. Oh, you can also get, and I don't have any with me right here, it's a little rubber, like a spatula thing. This is little rubber things that you can use to pull color. I bought some and I tried it and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So, you know, if you have allergies or something like that to some of the colors, you can use something like that. But boy, that looks kind of cool. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to do some with some more interest and some bigger ones and stuff, and see if I can get out and manipulate these edges just a little bit more. That works pretty well. I like that. You know, and each time I see that, I see a little bit more, like I want just a little bit more blue violet, softer blue violet. And usually, you know, when you get up close to these rocks, you get a reflection in the ocean from the rocks and stuff too. So I want this blue violet out here a bit more, right out along that edge. Yeah, that's a pretty, let's go a little bit richer with that color right in here, right into, don't breathe. Yeah, that's a little better. Right in there. See how it gives a bit more distance there. That's nice. Let's pull that a little further forward. Blur that into the beach. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Kind of different. All right. Okay. Quit playing with it. Leave it alone. It's a good study. It's a good study. All right. So I'll do some more of this. We'll do a bigger one and stuff. But what I want to do next is I want to paint my moose up big. So that's the next video coming. It'll do it this week in the next day or two. I'll put the big moose up, and then we'll go do a really big, larger, elegant floral composition. We'll talk about compositional skills, sizes, and getting the dimensions to the flowers and stuff. And maybe we'll use some of these kinds of techniques and stuff in it that will help. Okay, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. I love bringing some of this stuff to you. For years and years and years, I was a travel teacher. I traveled around the world, talked to thousands of students. My life has been very, very blessed as an artist, and now we're trying to, as much as possible, give back some of that. But we really do appreciate your support. So, you know, anything to you watching the videos and, you know, getting the colors, getting the artist colors and everything, all of that supports the channel of what we do here, and especially over our gallery. If you want to collect one of my paintings, you can go over to JansonArtGallery.com, JansonArtGallery.com, and you'll see some of the paintings, and 100% of everything I sell goes back to support this channel, support our art center here, which we allow, you know, I have my paintings up there, but we allow a lot of other artists, starting out artists, to display their paintings up there and sell them, all for, and they get to keep everything that they do. It's our way of giving back, so we are very thankful when you help us support everyone else as well. Okay, thanks very much, guys. And I'll see you. We're going to go do the moose, and he's going to be great. Big. Okay, I'll see you there.